And once again, a huge shout out to all of our financial supporters over at patreon.com/878survivor FM. All of our production managers, Shane Murphy, Tank Dazza, Hawks Hammer. Our producers, Red Freedom, thank you all so much for your generous support over all of this time. Next, a huge thanks to all of our YouTube members, all of our emote bandits, our 87.8 survivors, King Alobar, Raymond Normoyle, Marson P2, Melbourne's Adventures, Pettywetty, The Greedy Peasant, Sauerkraut, and The Receding Man. And our two podcast bosses, Kenny Baker and Foxy Pote. All of you are legends who help the shows go on each and every week. Thank you all for your support, even just by watching or listening, and we hope you enjoy this week's show. 4, 3, 2, 1. And welcome to the Spotlight on Community Service. I have been looking forward to this one. Sadly, it looks like our boy Lemons has not made it. King Alobar, thank you so much for the resub there, buddy. 13 months. I really appreciate it. But yeah, it's the gentlemen who are here running a community server. Would you do it all over again? I'll let any of you jump in. Well, let's actually introduce you all first. In the top left up here, we have the one and only Ammo from DayZ UnderGround. Ammo, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
And also from DayZ UnderGround, we have Diesel. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great.
I'm really glad to have you guys on because I saw, and there was even a bit of a chatter in the 87.8 community Discord about some changes you're making to how you run DayZ UnderGround, which pretty much was one of the inspirations for me wanting to do this community server, because you guys are doing something that a lot of other community servers are just looking at going, motherfucker, those guys are in for the hardest time of their life. But we'll come back to that. I'm quite intrigued by it. Designful, how you doing, buddy?
What's up?
Mate,
Doing great.
You and your Rearmed servers are absolutely killing it at the moment, mate. Just, you know, you've invaded the Australian market as well, and doing really
I love my
well.
Aussies.
Yeah, how could you not, mate? We're the best fucking people on earth.
Mhm.
And the one and only Derlethes, how you doing, mate? Derlethes?
I was muted. Sorry. I'm good. I'm very good.
And Derlethes, for those who don't know, Derlethes is Derlethes is probably going to be one of the most important people on tonight. You know, we've got DayZ UnderGround, who run arguably the most popular and, well, it is the original community server. If you look back through my catalogue, I did an interview with these guys. How long ago was that? Were either of you two in that one? I can't remember. I think you were, weren't you?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I was in the first one, but
Yep.
you messed up the recording.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's me we're talking about here. But yeah, it's DayZ UnderGround was the very first community server all those years ago when community servers were first a thing. But and Rearmed has just exploded. And how long has Rearmed been going for now, Designful?
2 years.
Yep.
Or a little above 2 years. From the inception.
Yep.
Popularity didn't start for like a year.
And Derlethes, how long have you been running your servers for, mate?
I think I started my first den started in 2019. I think.
You've got a few years under your belt.
Yeah, just not much population those years, but I'm staying with it.
And that is why I wanted you on, mate, because a lot of people, they look at the likes of a DayZ UnderGround, a Rearmed, a Day One, Happy Bombs servers, and they think, yeah, I could fucking do that, and, I'm going to get all these people. But that's not the reality, is it, Derlethes?
No, it is not. People don't come automatically. But to be honest, I've never really marketed my service either, because I do it for my own benefit, for a few friends, and for fun, really. Because I love the game, I want to play it the way I want it.
Yep.
So I make service that I like to play on.
And that's a
Oh,
very
yeah.
important part of it. Is if your heart's not in the server, Diesel, you're not going to enjoy doing it because it's a lot of fucking work managing a server, isn't it?
For me, yeah. I mean, it is. It's every server is whoever's running its vision, right? Or at least
Yep.
a team's vision. That's the whole idea behind these community-run servers. It's the fact, even back when, there was no mods and we didn't even have the source files. It was still, it was your vision of DayZ. I mean, you just had rules and sort
Yep.
of, because you couldn't control the CLE or anything, but I mean, you still made it your own.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, you guys had your organic role play, and which was such a challenge. Pretty much that was and always has been DayZ UnderGround's vision, is just, it's one of the things I loved about it. I've never been hardcore into role play. I think one of my favorite things I used to do, and this was when I used to run around at DayZ UnderGround all those years ago, was just run around dressed as a fireman. And when people would ask me my backstory, I'd say, yeah, I was a stripper. And my gig was I was a fireman stripper, and I got caught in these clothes, and I haven't been able to find anything suitable to wear. And that was about the limit of my role play. But DayZ UnderGround always did it well in that you didn't have to. Some people like to go right into the role play side of things, but you didn't have to. But the rule was, just don't be a dick when other people are doing it. Even if it's not your thing, just go along with it. And that's what I used to do. Just go along with it and not ruin it, because they're having their fun. And I just, play along with it. And, probably one of the most memorable videos for me of all time was the Running Man's video on Hex, The Way of the Meat. And the Running Man, he said, quite famously a few times, he doesn't like roleplay service. He finds it weird and awkward and all the rest of it. And it's a great video because you go and watch it, and that interaction, I'm certain you two have both seen it, haven't you?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep.
I was actually rewatching it just like maybe less than a month ago.
Yeah. If anyone in chat can find the link for that, it is a great video to watch, because the Running Man was really uncomfortable because Hex, does Hex still play on the servers?
No.
No. The last time I played with Hex was, I think, the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018.
Yep. Hex was an interesting character, wasn't he, guys? Yeah, he was the leader of Damn, Dark as Midnight, and they were the bad guys. Like, I remember playing on that server, and every time I went to Gorka, I was absolutely shitting myself, because that was their stomping ground. And if they got you, they would do mean and nasty and terrible things to you, usually involving rotten kiwis, disinfectant, and quite often a bullet. And he bumped into Paul, and the interaction did not start well. He rubbed Paul the wrong way, and by the end of it, Paul had arguably one of his best videos I've ever seen. He went full cannibal, and it was just one of the greatest DayZ videos of all time. Definitely in the top 10 of all time, in my opinion.
Well, that's what the server's about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like you said, just going with it. You don't have to be super into it. You just want to have some type of interaction, and even bullets is an interaction. I mean, maybe not what everyone's looking for, but it is a type of interaction, and that's going to happen. And a lot of new people to Doug, that's what they struggle with. They're like, so it's an RP server, but you're allowed to KOS. It's like, yep, you're allowed to pretty much do, I wouldn't say anything you want, because, there are obviously limits, but, it's that golden rule, right? Don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
That's always been our thing.
But that's the best place to put a role-playing rule set for a server, in my opinion, is that do whatever you want, but stay in character while doing it, and don't overdo it. If role playing is not your thing, just play along with anybody else, and don't ruin the moment.
And it's
but we have a ton of players though. We have a ton of people that just come in and do what they want. They talk about the server and stuff like that. It's just when they meet, some of the regulars and they mention the word server or anything that's like OOC, other people will kind of look at them. Yeah. Other people will look at them and go, what? And kind of, get it across that they don't understand or they're not going to, engage in that type of conversation. But other people will just answer them sometimes. And it's, it happens.
Yep.
Actually, Doug was kind of the server that inspired me to start fibbling with servers on my own. Because obviously it's based in North America, so I had a ping issue, but I played a lot on Doug and got shot a lot and I got annoyed, but the server was so well designed that I kind of wanted to have something like that myself, but closer
bastard.
on.
You bastard. There's you in the EU complaining about ping issues to fucking North America when you've got an Australian in chat. You want fucking ping issues, you come and live in fucking Australia, mate. Then you can talk about ping issues. What was your ping? Mid 100s?
Yeah, something like 150 or so.
Yeah, mate.
Well, that's how I
150
play.
ping for me is like, fuck yeah, that's a good server. I can play on that one.
I play with 110 to 150 on Doug because I'm Dutch, so
yeah. But then again, ping doesn't really matter. It matters when opening doors and hitting zombies, because I don't engage in PvP. PvP for me usually means I get shot from somewhere.
You get used to it. I mean, I am the fist fighting champion of Doug, so.
What's it like for you, Design, with managing that aspect of the community? Because you're generally a more base raiding and clan sort of faction-y server, but there are some people who like to go along with that story aspect of a server. What's it like for you with your community?
Yeah, it's a lot more chaotic and toxic.
Yeah. That's part of what I wanted to talk about today, because it's you look at a server that's well run, and you go, you look at the videos, the likes of a JLK video where it all looks, beautiful and, oh, geez, that looks so much fun. But the realities of running a big community server with a lot of big factions, and some of those people, they don't know that sometimes taking an L is actually a dub. Sometimes your loss, it can actually be a win. And, that's probably one thing that's good for DayZ Underground. Dr. V, no, mate. No.
What?
It's just written in chat, Doug is dying off, thank God. No. Don't bring that in here today, mate. No. Please, I love you. I enjoy chatting with you, but no, that would be a fucking sad day if DayZ Underground ever died off. But we'll get back.
Yeah, that basically summarizes what it's like running community servers. Just people that are like that. You kind of just grow a filter for it and just ban them, mute them, move on.
Yeah, when it comes to like factions getting to dominate a server and it eventually like suffering from it, I think the late DayZ Core is a good example, because it was a cracking good server from the onset. I played a lot on it, but eventually the factions just took everything over, and it wasn't fun to play on it anymore, because wherever you went was just factions. You couldn't move anywhere as a solo player. It was impossible.
And that's a hard part for community servers. And I know DayZ Underground would have this issue. Definitely it'd be an issue for you on Rearmed. I even see it on the main server I play in here in Australia, DayZ Down Under, that when a faction becomes too big and too dominant, it ruins the experience for everyone. And some factions, they're either not aware of it or they just don't care. And I hate using this word toxicity, because I think it gets thrown around too much. But it does become a very toxic atmosphere for everyone on the server. You've got this one faction that has all the fucking raid tools. If you've got airdrops, whenever there's an airdrop, you know it's suicide to go in there because it's just going to be, 10 of these guys all turning up and they're just going to destroy you. And it doesn't become fun, and then you lose everyone, and it can kill a community if it's not managed carefully. And that's the hard part for server owners, is how do you manage it? These big factions, a lot of the time, if you're a monetized server as well, they're donating a lot of money that helps keep those servers running. And it shouldn't be about the money, but the reality is it's not a cheap hobby. We'll come back to the monetary side of it, but how do you manage that yourself, Designful?
Mostly with the in-game group limit, but like I have multiple servers, so I have like the
in-game what? Sorry,
the group limit, like the UI
group limit.
Yeah. So there's like the little UI that you can see if your teammate is like a teammate or not, just to help you. I'm not a big fan of it, but players are, so I prefer the more immersive, no UI limit or no UI at all. Anyway, yeah, so I have multiple servers. So I have like the main servers, which is up to 10 players in a group. And you can actually exceed that if you want to, but then you're at a disadvantage if you do, because you have like the 10 UI. And if you're not in the UI, then you're prone to getting team killed.
Yep.
So it basically encourages you to sit at 10. And then we have the 5-man servers, which is like 5 and that's it. Like you cannot exceed 5. And those tend to be the more popular one for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But even those, like 5-man versus a solo, like there's no contest. So I've been looking to
I'd like to have 5 men on the server.
I'd like to open more of a like a solo duo trio type beat. That's what I plan on doing one soon, actually.
Yep. What about for you guys on DayZ UnderGround? How do you manage it? Because factions have always been a key part of the dynamic of DayZ UnderGround. From one of the things I love so much about your server is, I still go on there from time to time. And one of the main things I like to do is try to find as many of those tapes you have in game, because it just adds so much depth of lore and so on to the whole community that even people who aren't familiar with it, they can pick up these tapes and just listen to the stories of survivors on the server. And that's just an amazing idea to me.
Well, we had one, I would not say attempt, it was quite successful. We removed all code logs like a year ago or close to. And that helped with all the raiding business. Before that, the big factions would just build a base, bigger, more trapdoors within trapdoors within trapdoors. Not the correct term, but you know what I mean? Like gates, sluices towards their good loot. So we removed code logs.
I want to delve into this a bit more, because I was stunned when I heard about that, that you guys removed all locks from bases. It was like, what the hell? What was the inspiration, and what was the initial reaction from the community?
Remember back when the first community servers were there, and you just had tents.
Yep.
You had no code logs, but we still had bases on DayZ UnderGround. We had tent bases or people with tents, and they built community camps, and it was respected by the community, and everybody was playing fair, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were grievers always. So that we wanted to bring some of that back to make the community realize that you need to play fair and be fair, and then yes, there will always be assholes, but to better the community, we remove code logs just to make people realize nothing is safe. There are no safe spaces.
What was the reaction from the community when you first did it?
Oh,
they were angry.
Angry?
Yeah, they were very angry. Yeah. But it brought a lot of people back as well that left because of these massive mega bases.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always a tightrope to walk, I guess. Every decision we make, or the team makes, I should say, because it's not just me, Diesel. I mean, me and Diesel were even out of the admin team officially, not running the community anyway. We just did the server, did the mod. for a while. But yeah, basically it's the team that makes the decisions, and then you get to stick with them, and you need to make sure that you follow through. But yeah, they were not happy.
Would you ever consider something like that on Rearmed Designful?
Not on Rearmed, but I would love to open a hardcore server. I tried, but it didn't pop.
Yeah.
I love hardcore servers. I played day one in Stalker Z. Like, I've been grinding Stalker Z. That is the most fun server. But I'm all for the hardcore, but just my players do not like anything hardcore. They will cry and complain.
See,
I wouldn't say that.
Like, dude, to put this into perspective, I removed code locks from Windows, and they, like, lost their shit over it. It's like, you don't even need to use Windows. The reason why was because, they were using it, you can open, or like, enemies can't open the windows by default because you can't open them from the outside.
Yep.
So they were using them to, like, get through their base quicker since we have door-only rating. So I thought that was unfair, like, that, like, the base owner can go through one window while, like, the raiders have to go through, like, 30 doors.
Yep.
So I removed code locks off Windows, and oh my god, dude. It's such a small change, but people were so upset about it. They get upset about literally everything I do nowadays. So I just have a filter for it. I don't care. I do what like I think, and my team just like they do. What they think is best, and that is what it is.
What were you going to say, Derlethes?
Yeah, well, my servers are small. I mean, the topmost population I ever had without an event going on is like 12 or 15 people or something like that. So it's always been small, like almost family-like servers. But that doesn't stop the oddball, the stranger to come in and raid somebody's base. And the only drama we've ever had on the servers was base raid related. Of course, somebody broke in and stole shit and made toxic comments and caused an argument, and we lost some people from the community due to it. And it's a small community, so that pissed me off big time. So what I did is I simply removed raiding. I made the bases impervious. You can't get into them unless you glitch, and in that case, I just kick you off the server. And so people can hoard whatever they want. Since stuff is not tracked anymore, it doesn't really matter. You can hoard anything you want in your server, and I don't really care. But because that instead makes people care less for making defenses and building a huge base. Just a door with a lock on it is enough, and a few containers inside, so people explore and adventure more. Which is what the servers are for.
The thing I'm loving here is, and this is something that anyone who's looking to start their own server is, there's no set recipe for success. Obviously, there's certain things you can do. Having a big name attached to a server is often, not always, but often an easy way to get people on there. But you've basically got to design something that you're going to enjoy yourself, but that there's a player base out there, and sometimes that player base is going to be a bit more niche. The more hardcore you go, generally, the more niche the audience is. But you've got one server that basically says no locks, build a base, but no locks, so anyone can come in and grab whatever they want. You've got another server that has locks and encourages raiding through a set method. And then another server that's just made them impervious. And all three work for a certain audience. But you've got to be prepared to be flexible. Find what works for you, find what works for your community, and be prepared that what you make might not be what people want to play on. It's always a challenge, isn't it, guys?
100%. I love the dynamic. We all have our own resolve for the same issue, basically.
Yeah,
and
I kind of just embrace the rating. That's just sort of how my
look,
rating
rating is a huge part of DayZ, isn't it, Diesel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
I mean,
Ammo, I actually meant to direct that at Ammo because Ammo was going to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was meant to say, what I wanted to say is we're reinventing ourselves constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're reacting to community feedback, and but we're also looking to carve our own style of DayZ, I guess, constantly. And sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. We at the start of when we first got the files and we could run our own server, our own box instead of running off a hosting company, we went with a hardcore server, like pretty hard compared to the default DayZ files. And Diesel can probably tell more about that, how that went. Diesel, you want to pick?
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, if you remember, we were vanilla at first, and we had no mods. So we had the ability to mod, but we didn't mod for the longest time. One, we just wanted to see what I think what the workshop would spit out and where people were going. But we were also, concerned about like some of the stuff, like, a lot of the original mods were, very, what I'll call power gamey, right? Like where it was, 16 attachments on everything and
Unbalanced. Yeah.
Very unbalanced, right? Yeah, very unbalanced. That's a better way to put it, maybe. But I always call them power gaming. But it was, but we weren't about that. I mean, the original motto, even back when we were hosted, was vanilla hardcore. Because we had the options like no reticle and stuff like that. But yeah, eventually it was somebody from our community just brought it up and was like, we should go hardcore, and like less loot and less, and harder things, and change the environment around. And we had a community vote on it. It was pretty split, but in the end, it was a small margin to go hardcore. And even I was one of the original people that thought I didn't think it was going to work for me. Like I was designing the CLE and I'm going, I don't think I'm going to like this. Like, I don't know if I'll keep playing on Doug. And some of our players had a lot of reservations, obviously, but they tried it and they kept with it and they loved it. And, the server took off. Like we were on fire for a while there. It was like 70 players constantly, day and night for weeks and months on end. We had to open a second server even just for overflow. And it was just, but there it was much more of a, people just wanted the settings. They wanted to try to play the settings, and they weren't into that Doug sort of, experience.
That's
yeah. I mean, that's the way it went.
The time I was on Doug.
Well, there you go. Yeah, everyone. I think and I say that like we had, we had a little less powerful server back then, so we were pushing 70 players. DayZ wasn't as fine tuned either, but I mean, it was workable. And but we were still there was times where we had 70 players in like a 30-man queue. Back in the, quote unquote glory days, right, of hardcore. And that spawned a ton of clones, and that's awesome. Other people liked it. Some people didn't like it. They made up their own thing. We had, Day One spawned off of DayZ Core spawned off of DayZ. There's been a ton of, Doug, there's been a ton of servers that have, spawned off of that Doug experience.
And that's
we even helped.
That's always you're talking about something there. There's probably another a good time to segue into something different here, but it's the hard one, isn't it? These copycat servers that they see someone do something successful, like Rearmed. You guys, from my understanding, and someone can feel free to shit on me in chat if I've got this wrong. But you guys kind of made the key card and the locks for certain rooms thing massive. And now there's a lot of servers that try to do that. DayZ UnderGround has spawned a lot of clones. Probably the most infamous one that everyone knows of is Day One. And how many clones, Choco did the clones, and I even talked about that on the podcast with him. And it's a bit of a shit thing to do, to just call yourself, Day One, word for word almost. And he's moved on from that, but it's a sign that you've done something right. But it's also it's something that when you're trying to run these things, and these servers become your babies, and you invest a lot of heart, time, and money, and energy and emotion into it, and then to see someone effectively stealing what you've come up with yourself, it's pretty heartbreaking, isn't it, Designful?
I don't really care too much. My server was heavily inspired from Milo the Average Sniper server. Like, he had the original keycard thing that I kind of looked into, and his server like had its own issues, I guess, and they ended up dying around the time when mine kind of popped. But yeah, I mean the keycard thing wasn't like my idea. I mean the keys were like I saw the keycard mod and was like, okay, keycards don't make sense in DayZ because there's just doors, so let's make it keys instead. That's it though. But yeah, I don't really mind the whole like people taking inspiration thing because that's what we all do basically. We all take inspiration from one another.
Yeah, well, but inspiration is one thing. Pure plagiarism is another. You know,
Yeah.
the servers that pop up that call themselves Day One.
Oh, those are the worst servers, dude. Don't
Yeah.
play those copycat Day One servers.
Yeah,
They're full of
that's
cheaters.
just horrible.
I don't like to sit in queue for the Day One servers, so I'll play like I know they're clones or whatever. They're not the real ones. But as long as I don't gotta wait in queue, I'm fine. But they're just full of cheaters and there's no admins. So
naming your servers like something similar to a popular server just to trick players into joining.
Yeah.
That's just bad manners.
It's scummy. It's a scummy thing to do, isn't it, Ammo?
Yeah, but you always have scum. I mean, I have I also write the mod for DayZ UnderGround, and the amount of times it gets stolen or just plain copied, etc. It's the same thing, and I just go after them through DMCA, and the same with servers. But yeah, I guess we don't get copied as often anymore, and that's good.
yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
don't
fine.
really see too much stuff with my mod either.
The Russians love our mod.
Yeah, the Russians. Fuck the Russians. Fuck them all.
All of that.
That's bringing.
That one little drama I had on my service. That was Russians.
And that's bringing politics in, but one of the great contributors to our mod is Ukrainian, and he's currently in Kiev. And yeah, anyway, fuck Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of politics. Sorry,
But we'll clarify though. Not all Russians. We've got Wellerton, who's Russian, absolutely amazing. Call Me Rive, who's Russian, absolutely amazing blokes who do a hell of a lot in the DayZ community. So yeah, I'll just clarify on that one because they're two good friends of mine, and there's probably other ones out there as well. But yeah, they're good people.
Yeah, just personal opinion.
No.
But just disregarding the political side of it, what a time to live in as a fairly normal, average day Russian who just wants to live your life and do normal stuff, live your life, do your work, play games, and so on, and all of this high-end politics and war shit is going on. I'd hate to be in their shoes.
Oh fuck yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, we'll move away from politics. But yeah, it's an absolute struggle to find that right balance of what your community is going to want. And that's something that you guys over at DayZ UnderGround absolutely fascinated me with. I'll let you guys tell, for those who don't know, the recent change you've made to how you're going to run your server in the future.
Well, it's not 100% yet. So, but it sounds like it's going to go. This was sort of a brainwave that I had, I don't know when, a couple months ago, I think, and I finally just sort of put it down. But it was brought about by a lot of things, but in general, it's just, you can never completely satisfy everyone. Everyone knows that. I think it's pretty obvious. But so you try to make choices that are going to be a good middle ground. But still, there's always people that are, somewhat unhappy. And so anyway, I had this idea, well, what better way to decide what the setting should be than our most, pluriferent or not pluriferent, what's the word I'm looking for? But, the most sort of hardcore or most invested players. And for us, that's our groups and factions. They're certainly, I don't think maybe the largest percentage of our players, but they are probably a very good, example. They are a good subset of our players, So, and we need to control it somehow. So we're going to let them decide whether they want to do this. And so far it sounds like they want to, but I'm going to put up an official vote soon. And then once they decide that, then we're going to let them vote on, what the CLE looks like and what mods we use and what the settings within those mods are going to be. And it'll just be, a popular vote essentially. And they would try them out. And then for a while, I'm not going to allow, we're not going to allow rapid changes, obviously, because it doesn't give people time enough to for the new settings to sink in. But yeah, and it also encourages cooperation and trust, amongst your fellow players. And I think that's what I'm really looking for as well.
Would you ever try something like that with your community, Designful?
No, never. No. The whole time I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I would never. No, dude, I hate what these guys suggest.
I think within 2 hours of you posting it, you'd just be like curled up naked in your bathtub with cold water pouring on top of you, just rocking backwards and forwards. Oh God! Because when this got brought up, it got shared in the podcast Discord, and there's a lot of confusion about DayZ UnderGround. Like the people were like, they scoffed when they heard it, and I'm certain there are still people scoffing, going, "Oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare." But I replied to some of the people in there, and I said, "Look, this is the classic, that meme of that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for them." But I replied and I said, if any community can do it, it's going to be DayZ UnderGround. Now, Derlethes, you've played DayZ UnderGround yourself. Would you agree with me on that?
Yep, without doubt. I mean, it has a crowd who's following it, who's playing on it, and I think if any crowd is ready for it, it's them.
Yeah. As Designful said, there's a lot of communities out there. You've only got to watch, like DayZ Down Under has pretty much removed general chat because of toxicity and just how stupid people can be when they get in there. And everyone wants something different. It's very rare, unless you build the server yourself, it's very rare to find a server that fits you to a T, unless you make it yourself. And even then, you're constantly going to be changing your mind about, I thought I'd like this, but no. But to have a whole community providing input, you're always going to have people who disagree. And we all know, what the internet is like these days. If someone disagrees with you, then they're your enemy, and it could create drama there alone. But DayZ UnderGround has something special. How long has that server been around for, guys?
I think 10 years.
Yeah.
It's
got to be about that.
8.
Is it 8?
8th of March, 2014. It started on the computer under Hicks's desk. Sorry. So Hicks 28. Yep. Under his desk, we were the first community server. We were the test bed if it would work for DayZ, if they could just give servers to people, etc. And that's how DayZ UnderGround started. So we're 8 years in, 8.5.
And not many servers can last that long. And that is, kind of why both Derlethes and I are of the same opinion, that if any server is going to be I'm certain there's some other really tight-knit communities out there, but for a fairly large-scale server, yes, you guys have only got the one server. We don't mention Doug EU anymore. That never happened. But if any server can do it, it's going to be DayZ UnderGround, just because of what you guys talked about before. You've got some factions that, Damn is still around. Probably a very different bunch of people, but there's a certain... what other factions are still around from the beginning of it?
That's probably... Name-wise, it would just be Damn.
Yeah. Because that's just an absolutely legendary community, like we mentioned before, with the Way of the Meat video, Dark as Midnight and Johnny and There were so many characters made that up. But it's gone through an evolution. Most servers do, DayZ Down Under, the server I play on. A lot of the factions that were big back when it first started, they're not there anymore. A lot of the players are still there, but they're different. But that sense of community that you guys have, even though there's ups and downs, and if you're in the Reddit or in the Discord, like any community, people can get upset and things come to attention. And you guys said you've left the team and then come back, and things change. But the core of a good community, it's a hard thing to build, isn't it, Designful?
Oh yeah, for sure. They always want change. They always want this and that.
Yep.
Like, I personally believe, like, if you give them the power to change your server, like, they'll make it terrible. That's just my personal belief, though.
That's what we're gonna try.
Yeah, that's spicy, dude.
But here's the thing: it'll be their terrible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they make the choices. For me, this is the interesting part, and I am extremely interested in this. Odd enough, like.
On a psychological aspect, isn't it? Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. But I'm extremely open behind, like, because here's the thing. So, and there's a fair number, I think, maybe in the community that think, and as Ammo pointed out earlier, that they think it's the Diesel and Ammo show, basically. And for a time when we were, originally when we were admins, the first time. To a lot of sense, it was us. Some people had kind of checked out, and we were just sort of making up things as we went, and we didn't get a lot of resistance, or we didn't get a lot of input from other people. But then they sort of started believing, because we're sort of gatekeeping to a certain degree, right? Like, they suggest a change, and it's like, well, no, because it doesn't fit with the vision of the admin team, because the admin team does run it, and their participation sometimes, ebbs and wanes, but it's always them making the decision. So, but at the end of the day, that team, they're not going to push the server. They have a certain vision, and they're not going to put the server in certain places, but turn it over to the community. I mean, it's, to a certain degree, I don't want to say it's their server, but they, and especially when you're talking about Doug, when I say this, they live on it, because some of our players, they live on that server. Like, we're talking 40 hours a week plus for some of these players. So, and I'm assuming they have jobs too. So, like, literally Doug is their second job. So, but if they want to do something, you say they're going to ruin it, but if they collectively vote for it and they want that, and that's what makes them happy, why not let them have it? So I'm very intrigued where they will take the server, because I think they will take the server potentially in directions that the current team won't. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, they will realize that, and I think they will move it elsewhere.
Yeah, maybe that's the classic. You may think you want this,
yes,
but you really don't.
Right.
So you vote it through, and you play with it for a couple of weeks, and everybody realizes, oh no, this wasn't that good of an idea.
And there's a classic thing of that, like particularly with the raid servers. You probably see this all the time on your servers, Designful, that these big factions, when they're dominating, when everything's going their way, they're happy as anything, and then when they get shat on by another group of people who come in and wipe their base or whatever, they don't take it well. So when they don't get their own way, and that's going to be what's fascinating. Like I said, if any community can do it, it's Doug, because so many people are invested into the RP side and the story side of it. But yeah, I don't think a lot of servers could do it, and it would be complete and utter madness to do it. But yeah, I'm really watching this with interest, and like you, Diesel, the psychological aspect of what this holds is fascinating to me.
I think it'll make a much stronger community, really. And I don't think it's like some kind of a, psychological test, like where, just to kind of see what happens if you lock a bunch of people in a room, right? Like, but I really think it'll make it stronger, because they will respect each other outside of the game a lot more. They'll have to, I think, to a certain degree. But the relationships between our players are pretty tight, especially in our groups and factions, like our core group. They're already, there's some people that maybe don't get along all the time, but I think there is a fair amount of respect there. And there's a lot of, OOC gaming for one. People will take other players and go play something else or do something, but there's I think there's a fair amount of friendships there. So I think it'll work. And the other side is from the way they're talking, like right now, because some of them are, sort of anticipating this coming. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a whole lot of changes to what we really have today. They'll tweak a few things that they maybe don't like, or they'll try to. Again, it has to pass the vote, but so we'll find out. We'll find out what the the general population wants or doesn't want.
Yeah, well, they're already playing on your server, so.
But they're not totally happy with, right?
Oh no,
right? They're not totally happy.
Nobody will ever be happy though. You said it yourself earlier. Yeah,
but that's the whole. Yeah. But that's that's always been like my goal when I was doing the CLE. When I'd make changes to the CLE, and you'd see a bunch of people in favor of it and a bunch of people not in favor of it, you knew you hit it right on. Because if no one's happy. Right? If no one's happy, or if both sides that are happy and unhappy are equal, you probably there's a bunch of people in the middle that aren't saying anything, and it always seemed to work out. Like
I have run a few like votes on my dens on a few occasions. Just get rid of this mod or not, or will we swap to Banov or Takistan or not? that kind of thing, because I didn't really want to make the decision just on my own and so on, but just small things. But it can definitely work, and well, looking forward to your results to see them.
Oh yeah, there's always another idea, right?
Sorry, just dealing with a message that got posted in chat, which kind of blew me away. Wheaties alt count if I had to guess. No, I'm edgy, but even I'm not that fucking edgy. Yeah, Jesus, right. Oh wow. Okay, so yeah, back on track. That was a bizarre message. I'll have to remember to censor that from the fucking upload of this one. Okay, so I blame you for this.
You got some hate. You got some haters, do you, buddy?
No, not me. Certain world leaders have got some enemies.
Okay.
I saw that.
Yeah. So one of the other aspects I wanted to talk about was the money pit that these servers can become. Now, this is one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on, Derlethes. How many servers have you got?
Currently 2, but normally 3. One of them is down currently because I'm working on a new Takistan server.
And are these on dedicated servers?
These are dedicated servers in my own basement. Basically, they're separate machines.
What sort of cost do you get?
Well, not incredibly much. Like I've said before, my servers are small populations. They're fairly competent machines. I mean, I've bought computers with good single core performance because that's what runs the DayZ servers best, and they can handle 60 players on vanilla without problem, but I never get close to that. I mean, I've run events where we approached 40 or 50 players, and I still had server performance in the 2000s. So they're competent enough, but in money, I don't know, maybe $200 a piece, something like that. Mm-hmm. I gone cheap parts and so on. And like my very first server I made, like the original Den, was an old office computer I brought home from work that I basically stole from work because it was laid off, and I jacked it in. I thought, oh, well, this one should be able to run a DayZ server. So I did, and it did. It worked. And thankfully, I have a very good internet connection, so it works.
So you run stuff from your home?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, how does...
Your upload must be crazy.
It's it's a terabyte.
Okay,
there
you go.
That's what I have. I mean, I have gigabit.
Just quickly, B, I do apologise, mate. We did have lemons. Well, initially we had Scale Speeder, but Scale Speeder was unable to due to work commitments. Then we had Lemons lined up, but I just haven't heard from him. But that's Lemons. You guys who watch the podcast know how irregular he is. Sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. We never know. It's always a blessing when we get Lemons on the show. But yeah, I guess something has come up. But yeah, we did want to talk more about the console side of things as well, because that's a whole different kettle of fish. And we'll kind of touch on it a bit, but it's going to be a bit hard with none of us really being console admins. But what about for yourself, Designful? Because you've got a number of servers, mate. I don't know how much you're prepared to say, but what's your rough running costs every month?
Oh, dude. It's roughly $375 around. I run 12,900Ks on every server. I got a new Aussie box at 600 AUD, whatever that is to USD. It's a lot though per month.
A month. So 600 Aussie dollars here for every month is
dude,
roughly about 350 to 400 US dollars.
Jesus.
Yeah, the Aussie server was so much. I wasn't gonna get it, but he kind of lowered it for me. I was like, okay, I need a better Aussie server.
It's
roughly like 400.
Get in contact with Rearmed. You can work out a deal, but it's not cheap. It's not cheap when you don't
all
have
about the network.
Capabilities, with a good internet connection at home to be able to run a few servers and then still be able to play yourself and stream Netflix or Pornhub or whatever else you want to do. But
most of us in Europe can,
Well, what about for you guys at DayZ Underground? What are you guys looking at for just the server sort of costs per month?
We pay by the year, actually.
Yep.
We just switched. When we bought our new box, we paid up front. You get a small discount if you pay for the year, and we had the money, so we were like, why not?
Yep.
You guys use OVH?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just for the tech side of things, guys. So, just for basically setting up a dedicated server, which is more expensive than just renting a slot on a server. But this is where it starts to become quite technical. Now, when I had my little server, Dean's Beans, I was just basically renting a slot on a server, which is, the company takes care of the hardware side of things, and it's a lot simpler. I don't fully know how to explain it. You guys could probably do it better than me, but it's a lot easier to manage. When it comes to running a Dedi, a dedicated server basically means that you're the only, whatever you put on there is all that's on there. When you are just renting a slot on a server, you could be on a machine with 3 or 4 other servers. And depending on their workload, that's going to throttle what that machine can do for your server. So Dedis are the best way to do it, but it's expensive. Plus the entry level for the skills you have as tech wise, it's a lot higher, isn't it, Designful?
Just a little bit. I think the firewall manager is the only skillful thing you need to know, and because not a lot of people really share that for some reason. It's very simple to set up your firewall to prevent DDoS attacks and stuff like that. And I think most server owners don't know how to do that, unfortunately, and it's not talked about at all in any Discord.
But your firewall doesn't prevent DDoS.
Yeah, by default, you got to set up your ports, which ones are open.
Yeah, okay.
And you got to deny all connections.
Yeah, well, we're lucky. We have Diesel. No, but we have both of us. I mean, Diesel is more proficient in running Windows servers, which DayZ runs on because they still haven't released the Linux executables. So,
Yeah,
And I would argue that
didn't it?
Daddy is much easier than those like game panels, like where you
Yeah.
have to like click buttons and install mods using Omega Manager. It's very simple.
Omega Manager. Well, I don't want to go into the details.
But that in
No,
itself
use
is
it.
a mod, right? Like Omega Manager is community written.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's community written, but it just like updates mods automatically.
Sure,
Thing.
because he made a really nice tool for the average Joe to be able to run his own server. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It's awesome. Like,
I've gotten into quite an argument with Philip. So
I love Philip. He's my homie. He had so much cool like technical stuff for admins.
Well, my problem. Well, no, not gonna.
Well,
Yeah,
My problem is giving out our unencrypted details to connect to our server to a third party. And that
yeah,
was my
that's
problem with
kind of
Philip.
my issue too. That's why I opted to not go there. I don't really mind doing it all myself. I'm a control freak. I like getting into the itsy bitsy deep parts. So I don't mind doing it myself.
Now,
Yeah, and we.
Melbourne has got a comment in chat there, which is a good segue into the next aspect of the monetary side of it. He said it'd be nice to get a hardcore server with all custom content to that server. Now, DayZ UnderGround actually has a lot of really, really cool custom stuff. I know you've got a bit of an arrangement with like DayZ Down Under, where you just kind of work together because you don't really impact on each other's player market too much. But getting some of these custom assets made is fucking expensive, isn't it?
Actually, no.
Well,
it can be. It
Sorry.
depends.
can be.
It depends.
Yeah.
Like I think I got $2,000 spent on CG Trader for 3D
You
models.
did? Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. We
I'm a
had
big
one.
CG Trader fan here.
Yeah.
I do a
Yeah,
lot of importing.
Yeah, we had one like custom vehicle made for our service. It was the idea of one of the players. He wanted to have it done, so he kind of bought the model from a model maker. So then I had to like get it into the game. So I what do you say?
Mission?
Yeah, I commissioned a modder to get it into DayZ. So we have it, and it's exclusive to my service. It's a like post-apocalyptic van. It looks great, but that one cost a crap load of money. Like I paid like 200 euros less, more or less, just to get the mod made.
Well, now I'm scared to say how much I spent for the Doug mod.
Look, I know how much
No.
Spud has spent on some of his stuff. I know myself. Like I've had stuff made. We're giving away a prize again. Great opportunity for me to shield the Christmas episode. But we're giving away a chance to work with Windstride, who's pretty much the pinnacle of custom items in the game in DayZ, and it's not cheap. You know, we're talking a good couple of $100 just for one item. But you know, the guy makes
That's kind of
stuff.
expensive.
But it's got to be though, because it's a lot of work doing all
Yeah,
the
I commissioned Windstride a couple times. It's a little bit pricey
Sorry, can I?
compared to other importers.
Yeah, cut in.
I spent less than $500
Mm-hmm.
for the whole Doug mod.
Did you get a lot of stuff
Yeah,
done for free by people?
No, I for free. No, not for free. I traded my skills.
Yeah, there you go. You basically worked out a trade deal. So if you were to put a monetary value on your time, that cost probably would have gone up. But you were able to work out something and make a trade with people. If you do this for me, I'll do that for you, and that's fantastic. And that's great because you've got skills that are in demand. If I was to do it, I ain't got shit to offer anyone.
I just talk to people. For instance, on Doug we have the infamous wild dogs, which are quite identical to the tameable dogs from that mod.
Mm-hmm.
They are the same. And I just talked to the guy like, hey, can I use these? We want to introduce wild dogs on Doug. And so they're basically wolves, but in urban locations in smaller packs. And he said yes, and then I helped him with some stuff to optimize it, etc. And that's how the whole deal with DayZ Down Under with Spud came to be as well. Spud has a lot of contacts. He gets a lot of models made, but scripting wise, he has some things that could be optimized, and I helped him with that. So yeah, that's how I sell my shit.
Yeah,
basically.
One of my major features I have on my service that I didn't really pay much for is zombies being able to beat down doors, because it's a major game changer that really should be a vanilla thing. But since the Liven, his PVZ mod suit, it's a massive mod that lets you customize everything about zombies, and all I wanted from that was zombies being able to beat down doors. So I approached him and asked, could you do a standalone for that? And he wasn't really interested in that, but I could commission a standalone like PBO, and he did it, and it didn't cost me a lot. And so on my service, zombies can beat down doors, and it's a game changer. Lad can testify to that.
Yeah, Lava's the homie.
But yeah, it's expensive.
I usually
It can be, if it's not going to be expensive, it's a lot of time and effort spent going into creating these custom mods, these custom items, custom base building. We just saw they're going to be talking about it on the podcast, but a really cool custom base building mod that a server has. I mentioned this before the show, but when you've got a missus, when you've got kids, when you've got a real life job, these servers, running a community server is not just a case of set and forget. Especially if you're doing it by yourself. Like, Derlethes, do you have many people helping you?
No, it's just me. So I have a couple of moderators on the servers who help me moderate the servers. But as for the servers themselves to like manage the actual management of them, it's just me.
What about you, Designful? How many people do you have working behind the scenes running the servers and the community?
I couldn't even count them. I got like 5 senior admins that like all have Dedi access in case like a server like shits itself as I'm sleeping. Then I gotta call and wake me up.
And that's another thing as well, isn't it, Ammo and Diesel?
Oh, you gotta be on standby.
Yeah, for a server like yours, with DayZ UnderGround, you've got people playing from around the world. There are Australians who play the server. So keeping these servers running 24/7, it's not easy. And if you're not on the ball, people are just going to go elsewhere, aren't they?
Well, keeping the server running is quite easy. It's keeping the community in check that's hard. And that's why we have, how many people on the team currently? 10?
Yeah, eight or 10, yeah.
Yeah, but could you imagine doing it yourself, Ammo? Just you?
No, I'd get burnt out in a second.
Yeah. And that's where...
Because that's not where... Well, it's because that's not where my passion lies.
Yeah.
My passion lies in making the mod. I also program the tools, quite similar to CF tools that Philip makes. I made our own homebrew before he made his, or during the time he made his. Anyway, and running the server. The community, it pisses me off at times, and then I lash out, and I shouldn't. So I tend to stay away from that.
It's a drain, and this is something that people who, getting back to what the whole purpose of this episode is about, but this is something that when you're thinking about starting a community server, that you need to be aware of. It's a massive drain, and then when if you don't see big numbers coming in, I looked at it the other day. There's something like 8,000 plus. I think it was closer to 10,000 plus community servers on PC alone. God knows how many there is on console, but it's really hard to stand out in that crowd, isn't it?
for sure.
But do you really need to though? Like you gain nothing from it. Like if your server has a queue every night, or your server is 10 players, as long as everyone's having fun and they're playing your version of DayZ, what really, like, it's not a popularity contest, right?
Like, this is what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Is what is your motivation? There are people out there who want to be like Day One, or like DayZ UnderGround, or like Rearmed. Then there are people who just want to create their own special little slice of heaven in the post-apocalyptic wonderland that is DayZ. And that's kind of what you are, isn't it, Derlethes?
Yeah, well, exactly. Because if I'd been in it for like the crowds to have many players, I would have quit years ago, because it's never kicked off. I've had like tops of about 15 players. When I run the Hobo War events with Gecko and everything, of course, then the servers are full, but that's events, so that doesn't really count. But the servers themselves have never really kicked off, but that's not really what I'm aiming for. I build them for me and for my brother and for my friends to have a fun place to play on that fits my vision of what DayZ should be all about. And I'm happy with that. If the server is like 1 player or 15 or 50, I don't really care.
Okay, so Darkwing has posted the elephant in the room. Some people seem to think servers are very profitable. Is this true? And he's got the laugh emoji. I'm going to say no, but yes. Because... depending on your motivation, you can make some money. You can make some money from a DayZ server. There's, I've been told from a very reliable source, Asmondian, that South America in particular is quite renowned for pump and dumps, where they'll set up a server, they'll talk it up, they'll big it up and all the rest of it, and maybe steal a few mods here and there. And post it up and get a whole pile of donations, and then the server just disappears. And then another server pops up, and they rinse and repeat, and they do it all again. Now, I have no doubt that some of these massive communities, like I even guess maybe Rearmed is probably not losing money, but I don't think that there's many DayZ communities out there where someone's sitting back counting the dollars. So there might be. Have you guys heard of anything like that? And the silence was deafening.
As for me, no. I mean, I never even thought about money in it. No, God's no. I've had a couple of donations over the years, but no.
Designful?
I can only think of like one server owner that does this as like a full-time job. So, not really.
Yeah, I mean, Doug is running
and it
completely.
is a full-time job too.
Sorry?
Don't get me wrong.
Sorry,
I was going to say, like DayZ UnderGround, we don't run it for profit. We pay our hosting fees and that's it. And that's all we're really looking for. It's that we specify that the mod is a labor of love. We specify in the mod that you can't use it on a server that has monetization because of that. We don't want people making money off of, essentially Ammo's hard work. But there's a lot of other people that have contributed. But, that's it. And we talk about costs. I don't think we even mentioned it, but so Doug costs around $200 a month US to run.
One of the things I like is what, for example, DayZ DayZ Down Under has, is they've got a donation bot and a donation channel, and they post up in there whenever you want to donate. They've got a way to do it, and it's very transparent how it goes. That said, at the end of the day, I really don't have an issue, provided you're not scamming people with someone doing a server and making a few dollars from it. I'm a capitalist whore at heart. You make money however you can, provided you're doing it ethically. If you're doing these scam servers that we all know exist, but that's just not on. But if you can provide a good quality, because it's like we talked about, it's pretty much a full-time job for some people to run their communities. So, I know some people won't agree with that. Some people, it's a bit like modding. There's some people who think modding should be free. I think it's down to the modder. If the modder wants to be able to charge for their services, they should be able to charge for it. I don't like BI's policy on it, but BI own the game, so they get to say what it is. But I've got no real issue with it. But there just needs to be some transparency about it.
Well, my 2 cents is that if there are 9,000 DayZ servers out there, and I promise you about 95% of them are more or less empty.
Yeah.
There are a few full ones, and then there's a few medium population, and then there's a bazillion low or empty servers. I would never ever dream of paying for priority queue to server when there's thousands of empty servers. But if people are prepared to pay to get into their favorite servers, who's to stop them? I would never do it. But if people have their money and want to pay to play on their specific server, let them. It's I see no problem with it.
Yeah, there's a large player base though that DayZ is at its peak fun for them when the server is full or near full.
Yep.
Right. There's a ton of those players. They don't want to play on a server that is medium pop. We've had that discussion with our community before. There's a bunch of people sitting there going, "Oh, I'm not going to play because there's only X number of people on." But there's like 20 or 30 people sitting watching the population. It's like if you just played the game, the server would be full, right? But for a ton of people, it's because and the other side, I mean, it depends on your player base. It's Doug being more interaction based. Well, obviously, if the server is high pop, then you have much more chance of having an interaction. Although there are nights where people get on and the server has a queue and they run around for 3 hours and they literally see not one other soul, right? And then other times you'll jump on the server when it's, in the middle of the night and we're running about 10 players or less, and you run into literally everyone.
Yeah.
It just happens. But there's a large percentage of the population that plays DayZ that is looking for other players because they want some type of interaction, whether it's RP-wise, whether it's KOS, whether it's, run and gun. So they want to increase their chance of that. I mean, and then you've got players, like Derlethes, who just puts up a server and he's happy with 5 players because they're playing for the experience. It sounds like, anyway. I mean, you'd be more than happy if there was 60 players, but if there's not, you're still having just as much fun, right?
Yeah, because the potential is there. There are open servers. Anybody can log on. So there's always the risk of somebody you don't know being behind any bush. It's probably not going to happen, but there's always the risk. I mean, the last experimental, 1.19 experimental, I got shot. There was literally 2 people on the server, me and one other guy. And I walked into the medical in one of the villages and got shot because he was there. And, that kind of thing makes me, well, what is this thing about having to walk into a full pop? Because the risk is always there, even if it's not full. The risk is always there.
But the risk is certainly higher if the server
it's higher, but it can still happen on a full server that you walk around for hours and don't meet anybody. So just give it the benefit of the doubt and play and don't mind the population. That's my advice to any player, really.
Personally, I prefer interactions, so I only play servers with full pop because I just want to talk to people. I want to shoot them. That's how the game is meant to be played, in my opinion. Developers have different opinions and whatnot.
I play dress up simulator. I mean,
to me, it's the potential of interaction that is the key. Not actually having interactions every 5 minutes.
I'm with you, but I don't mind playing on the higher pop servers now. I suck at PvP, but for me, I love just being able to get lost and not hear something, and then all of a sudden there's a voice behind me, or I'm shot, or or whatever happens. And but I firmly believe that if a server has the stuff that you like, just get on it and play it. Regardless of the pop, because as you said, if you're just sitting there watching a server for the pop to rise, well, it's never going to rise. Just jump in there and just do it, because for most of these servers, it's one of the disheartening aspects of it that we see a lot of servers come and go. Myself included. You build a server, and it is disheartening when no one shares your same vision of what would be a good server. It's great when everything's kicking, but when it's not, it's quite disheartening, especially if you pumped a lot of time, effort, and money into it. Because they can become money pits. Like Designful, roughly how much do you reckon you've spent on your servers over the few years they've been running? Just a rough ballpark figure.
I don't even know. Let's think. 300 times like 5 at least, and then times that by like 12.
So we're
for
talking
1 year.
We're talking 10,000 plus.
1,500 times, yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And is this coming from donations, or are you funding this out of pocket?
No, it's definitely from like priority queue purchases.
Ah, okay.
I only offer priority queue on my server. So yeah, I kind of rely on people to like sit in the queue in order to fund the thing and buy prior. That's how I fund the servers.
Because
that's fine.
It works perfectly fine.
A lot of people don't realize, but Bohemia has quite strict rules on what you can do to monetize a server, don't they, Designful?
Not really. I mean, people do weird stuff. I'm probably one of the only people that only does priority queue amongst the like highly modded servers, because they do like these like skins and stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that, and it kind of like gets into the territory of pay to win, or it just ruins like the aesthetic of the server when you have people running around in like Gucci gear and all that cringe like Galaxy ghillie suits and stuff. Well, that's not my type of DayZ.
It sort of brings up the issue, Derlethes, of these servers where you can go in and pay for items to be delivered to you. We all know what happens.
Pay to win.
Yes,
but it's not pay to win. There are rules around that. You're not allowed.
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to give. You're not allowed to pay for a gun. You can pay for cosmetic items. Well, but that's but that's on BI, right?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, definitely.
I'll just bring it up.
Yeah, I
sure,
have
like,
no issue with the paying for cosmetics or anything like that. It's really like if you're prepared and have the money for it, like why not? I wouldn't offer the services because I think it's not necessary. But if it works, then go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Now, you are kind of right when you said it's not really complicated, but it's quite strict. If you breach these rules, they will send you a cease and desist letter. They've done it many a time. My advice to people always is if you're playing on a server that is offering those sorts of things, like if you pay us $50, we'll drop you a Humvee and a M4 fully kitted and 4 breaching charges. That's not the sort of server you want to be on. If they're allowing that, they're probably, someone said before that there's a server that if you pop them a few dollars, report them. Contact us right there. You can just click on that and you can send them a message and you can report that server because they're a blight on the community. They really ruin what DayZ's ethos is all about. And like I said, if they're going to allow that, what else are they going to allow? You shouldn't be joining those sorts of servers. They're disgusting and they ruin what the game is about. That's my opinion on it. What do you think, Diesel?
Oh, I mean, I'd agree with you, but I mean, obviously, if there's people paying for it, and there's people that don't agree with you, right? I mean, that's
a sad reality is that people actually do that. People will message me and be like, "Yo, give me nails," and I'll give you like $20 or something. And I literally just want to ban them for that. Like, it just makes me so mad that they would even go out of their way to message me that.
And you've got right here the servers that are approved for monetization. Now, monetization, just to clarify, does not mean a server is taking just pure pro bono donations. They may even be selling merch. If DayZ UnderGround, do you guys sell T-shirts?
Yes.
Yep, that's completely allowed. You don't have to apply for monetization to be able to sell a DayZ UnderGround T-shirt. But if you want to do something like what Designful does with priority queue, you have to apply for monetization. So if you join a server and they offer things like that, go in here and check this list. If they're not on here, I'm hoping to God you're on here, Designful.
I'm a little bit new to the party.
You're not on here?
No, I am.
Oh,
I'm just a bit more new to the party.
okay.
Some of those servers have been around a lot longer than I have.
You had me worried for a second. It was like, oh, this is going to be awkward. There's people right now going in there. Gotta report him. Gotta report him. Now, there we go. Rearmed. And
There it is.
you can see, show rules. You can click on it. And, to be able to do it, it's basically vetting.
We got a new website, so I didn't put the rules on the website.
Yeah. But, there's certain things, and it just shows that the community's above board for the most part. And Rapture. Let's click on them and see where it takes us. Rules and FAQs. These are the sort of servers you should be supporting, not the ones that are doing the really, really dodgy shit, folks. You don't want to
Not
be...
necessarily. Just because they're not monetized doesn't mean they can. Day One, I don't think is on that list because they only do donations. They might be, but they only do donations.
That's what I mean. It depends if they only have to apply for monetization if they're offering the allowable perk,
Something in return.
that you can do, which is charging players to access your fee if the fees and associated perks do not affect gameplay in any way is allowed. Limiting access to only paying players is allowed. Servers with access limited to paying players must be on a different hive or have rules and settings identical to the freely accessible servers. Product placement, in-game advertising, and sponsorship is allowed. Accepting donations is allowed, but to avoid any doubts, not providing donations must not prevent anyone from accessing the content. Selling of in-game items that don't affect gameplay and selling of cosmetic perks are allowed. Applicable only to servers with mods after modding support has been added to DayZ. Please remember that these rules do not apply to public hive DayZ servers or the DayZ mod. And then there's a FAQ that you can go and check as well, which there's the classic thing. If all they're accepting is donations, if that's something that you're planning to just do, you don't need to apply for monetization. May I give special weapons? No. If someone is getting something back for donating, it is no longer a donation but a sale. Pretty much all of your questions that you could have are on here. So if the server is doing something and you don't think it's above board, just simply go and check this. I'll post a link to it in chat right now. But go and check it. And if they're not and you feel it's egregious enough, report them. Let BI sort it out with them. But yeah. Someone is using a mod I've created on a server which has been approved for monetization. It's a mod maker's right to say that you can't use their mod on a server that's monetized.
Oh, I know.
Do tell.
I didn't know that, actually.
Oh, I have got plenty of people fucking with me or trying to fuck with me. And I just, hit them with the DMCA. Bye. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Right, boy. I really need to drop out. Sorry.
No worries,
but have a good discussion, guys.
No worries. Thank you
really
so much
love
for coming in,
talking to
mate.
you all. All right. See ya.
All
Bye.
the best to you, and good luck with Derlethes Den.
Bye.
Bye. But yeah, it's if you're going into running a server with the vision of becoming a gazillionaire, You're probably barking up the wrong tree, especially to begin with, aren't you, Designful?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The probability is so low, and it's just so much work after. Like, even if you do get the pop, I think a lot of server owners that I talk to are just, like, sick of it. Like, they have real-life jobs. Like, they don't have the time to really, like, maintain their servers to, like, the players' liking, and just all the chores that come with it, like cheaters, and all that stuff. Like,
You have a job, right? Or
I don't know.
so this is your life running servers?
Yep.
So you make money of it to live?
Yeah.
Okay, so didn't you just contradict yourself? Sorry to be an asshole.
How so? I mean, like, I quit my job for this because it was way more profitable. I didn't see a reason
I
working like
thought
a
you said-
$15 an hour job when I could just, like, have fun modding, you know?
Nah, okay.
Because I enjoy what I do, like, a lot. This is probably my dream job. Not so much, like, dealing with cheaters and stuff, but, like, actually modding, like, game development is a passion of mine.
So you found a way to basically support your hobby. I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, it comes with a lot of downsides that people don't really expect, like cheaters just fucking everything up and whatnot, but, you know, you kind of get used to it. It's just part of it.
And that's probably another issue that Doug, have you guys ever been targeted by cheaters and hackers and all the rest of it?
Of course.
It can be heartbreaking, can't it?
I mean, it's a nuisance. I mean, I don't know. They eventually just go away. I mean, I don't know.
It definitely can be. I've seen a lot of server owners just, like, completely heartbroken from it. Like, because depending on which cheater it is, there's little you can do other than, like, beg Bohemia to do something about it. Like, Modern, for example, with Trump's Wall.
Yep, Trump's Wall, Modern, completely pretty much destroyed.
Yeah, well, we didn't get hit with that one, luckily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An interesting one there. How many tickets a year do you people get with people asking for a comp after wrecking their car?
0. We don't give compensation.
Yep.
Well,
you get the odd request for sure, but I mean, it's generally someone comes to Discord and says, "Hey, I just got DayZ'd, you know, will the admins do anything about it?" And the community just chimes in and says, "No, like you're playing DayZ, like you know what I mean? Like that's it. Like, well, the latest one, every now and again, you get launched like 2,000 meters into the air and then they come crashing down to the ground, right?
Yep.
It's a current bug, and it happens. And I know the first time it happened, we thought there was a cheater on the server, and you know, now a few people have reported it since, and it's not like a prevalent thing, but it happens. Or you get DayZ, yeah, your car gets, you know, you spend all day getting this car running, and then you drive it for 3 minutes, and it goes into a tree and breaks, and it's like, oh well, like that's DayZ.
We've got
from someone
we've got DayZ in chat. They're saying they get those DMs, the people asking for comp.
Yeah,
there you go.
Most admins disable their DMs because it's just nonstop. But from a server that actually does like do tickets and like compensate for cheaters primarily, we have a total of 53,000 tickets from like the past year or so completed. I have a little spreadsheet to see who does like the most tickets and whatnot. Totals them all up. We did 70 today, like the past 24 hours. 560 the past week. So
sounds like work, man. Sorry.
It is, yeah.
Well, I
wrote my own ticket like Discord bot to kind of mitigate how many people make tickets, because now it like requires you to fill out a form. Just because it was just nonstop. People just make tickets for questions. It's absurd.
I don't know if you tell me to bugger off if you don't want to get into this, but because you run it as a business, do you have any employees who work for you to help?
I don't consider them employees. they're like friends, but yeah, I do pay other people, and
Yep.
you know that gets on their taxes as well. Like they fill out a form for me.
That's
I don't
really,
remember the name of it.
that is really cool. And I might chat with you afterwards. And depending on how much you're prepared to divulge, I think it would be fascinating to find out more about running a server as a business, because it is kind of a goal for a lot of people. Like modders, it's very hard for them to find a way to fund themselves, but it seems like you've found a pretty good workaround of operating within the parameters of what's legally allowed. That's helping fund your hobby and make a living. Look at, if a streamer can do it, everyone knows how passionate I am about modders being able to find a way to provide, to get a decent income to support what they do. There's this massive expectation that everything will be done for free, and if you're lucky enough to have the skills of like an Ammo and a Diesel, where you can trade with someone, that's great. To be able to keep things going. But I'm truly fascinated in your model, Designful, and I think it should be applauded if everything's above board, because it's fantastic that you're able to, because you've got some really cool stuff on your server.
Yeah, I can't wait for like Arma 4 modding, just so like can get off our DayZ engine and just do so much more. Like I'm at the point where like I kind of want to like make my own game type thing, but that just seems way like, I don't know. I like just
I'm just looking at what
it's
Mr.
a lot
Frankie
easier right now.
I'm just looking at what Mr. Frankie wrote in chat. You need to look at something like a G Fuel sponsorship, mate, and when players spawn in, they wear a G Fuel shirt on the beach.
Yeah, we actually do something like that where if you like log into our website and like link all your stuff, you get like a special pair of pants.
Yep.
When you spawn in. It's really goofy.
What do you guys think about that sort of stuff, Diesel and Ammo?
What, sponsorship? Yeah, I mean, it's just not for us. I mean, it's not what our community is about. But we do things like we have certain levels of groups and factions. So you start off as a group, and then you can sort of graduate to become a faction. Depending on your, what you're doing, like if you're participating in the community and like providing lore and providing good interactions. After a time, we give some of our factions like their own custom item, so they gain that ability to craft like their own unique item that's specific to them. So and Ammo's created a system that we have like tables that say, well, you're a member of this group, and if that group can make an item, then you can make that item, and lets them craft their own armband, their own specific item. Damn, for instance, they have like what they call the cannibal knife. It's looks like a special type of machete, but it also gives them the benefit that if you use that knife to cut up another player, you get their ear. Now, Damn always gets the ear, and then anyone else who uses it, there's just a percentage chance to get an ear. But then you can take those ears and attach it to the handle of I can display them, right? As like a trophy case. You can display the ears on the knife. So that's one example. Torchwood has, it's a torch, but it's also a melee weapon, and it's made out of metal, and et cetera. So
that's really cool.
There's all kinds of them. We have a whole system like that. So as far as our donators go, like our people that donate to Doug, they aren't recognized in any shape or form because it is a donation. You get nothing back from it. We don't even, there's no mention of it. It doesn't get mentioned anywhere in our Discord, on our website. You give freely, and you get nothing. You get the satisfaction that you help Doug keep going for another day.
See, but then that sort of raises the queries. Like I was just looking at Day One before, and they have a similar sort of thing. They have a donation link, but you don't know how much money they're making. At least I'll give you credit, Designful. You said you run it as a business. You make a living from this, so people know it's a for-profit operation. But you're running it with basically the right sort of ethics that people can see that the time and effort that you're putting into it, okay, but most people are going to be happy to donate it. The funny thing is, though, with gamers in particular, look at what was it, the Bethesda game a few years back, I think, where they tried to monetize mods, and people lost their shit over it because some people have this, no, it should be free, it should be done because you love it, and it's like, that's great and all, but people have still got to pay for their roof over their head, the power to come on, their internet connection, and assets. If you can't design them, create them from scratch yourself, they're not cheap either. So you're kind of caught between we'll do it this way, but then people are like, well, just how much are they making? And then they start to wonder what's happening with the money. Look at what happened with DayZ expansion. The amount of people who made accusations about them. With the amount of donations they receive for their mod. It's a very delicate balancing act, isn't it, Ammo?
Oh, very much. And to go back to that Bethesda mods thing, Bethesda just started making a marketplace and charging for shit. But yeah, for me, making the mod is, well, like Diesel put it, a work of love. Yeah. I just do it because I like doing it and I love doing it, and I will share whatever I make with anybody that asks respectfully.
Yep.
And I've done so throughout everything I do. I've got a great relationship with Windstride, for instance.
Yep.
I made most of the scripts for his items, and in result, we can use all the items in the duck mod, whatever we want.
And that's it. It's not always about paying for everything. It's about, and it's something that, I spoke to you guys before the stream started. One of the things that made me happy is that you guys have such a good relationship with DayZ Down Under. Because as much as I love playing Doug, I'm getting mid to high 200s is my ping to the server. So that's not the greatest experience. But when I know that some of the cool stuff that you guys have might be on my favorite local server that I get a 30 to 50 ping on, that makes me happy that there are communities out there that will work with each other, that can, find ways to basically benefit the community as a whole. I get that some servers, probably a bit for yourself designed for, because you're running it as a business. You're going to be more inclined to keep things internal, and a lot of servers, communities do that. But I also love that there are communities out there that, no, this is bigger than just us. We're happy to share and make the game overall better. That's always a win-win for me.
Oh, that's how it works. I mean, me and Spud go back a couple of years now.
Yeah,
well, multiple years, and we just he goes like, hey, I bought this amazing model and I want some scripts. And I'm like, I have this model I bought and it's shit. And then I toss it to him and he fixes it. So, yeah, that's how
I have the same ideology as Ammo. A lot of server owners come to me and ask me if they want, they want something from my server. I'm just like, hey, just give me something like cool mod and I'm down for it. Like, kind of just trade mods. That way it's, all fine and dandy. No commercialization.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, the more people that we have playing the game, the better. And there's some absolutely amazing stuff out there. And I get why some communities want to keep their stuff for themselves, because it is a bit competitive. If you want to be a high pop server, it could be hard to keep the numbers pumping. But at the same time, it is great to see people out there who are working more philanthropical about how they do things. It's great when you're someone like yourself, Ammo, who's able to do it for free, for your community. But not everyone has those abilities, so sometimes they do need to look to reach out, and that's where we see some rather unscrupulous stuff happening, particularly in the modding market. Where there's been some interesting things happen. But you've just got to, again, be careful who you go to. Look for the respected names, and yeah.
Yeah, I think the number of times, and it hasn't happened, I don't think, recently, Emil, but maybe you can speak to that. But initially, the number of times that Ammo had his the smoking portion of the Doug mod stolen. I don't know why smoking was so popular, but like the number of times he DMCA'd people over the smoking code was mind-boggling.
Yep. Whereas if they just reached out and said, "Hey guys, really interested. What sort of deal can we work out?" They possibly could have been able to work something out, and that's about a bit of respect. If you're not prepared to do that, if you're just going to go and steal stuff, that's probably not a community that I would want to be associated with. To find out that someone's been stealing code, do it ethically, folks. And if they say no, that's their right. I'm sorry, but find someone else to recreate it for you.
In a lot of those instances, though, they had nothing to trade back, right? Because they weren't a developer, right? They were just out there, and there's nothing wrong with just using the marketplace, but they had some basic idea on how to build a mod, because there's lots of tutorials for that, but they couldn't write their own code, so they just took pieces from what other people had, right? Yep. And then sort of made their mod. And some of them not even really understanding. I don't think that there are programs out there that'll check your code for you and match it to some, so Ammo can check for his code and other people's mods very, very easily.
Chat, do you guys have any questions on running a server yourself? Because I think we've kind of covered most of the major aspects of the difficulties in running a server. Is there anything because not obviously having run a big server, but is there anything that you guys in particular think that we need to let people know about what the realities are as well? We've talked about costs. We've talked about the technical aspects. We've talked about the difficulties of, especially when you've got a large community and, that everyone wants something slightly different. And, I've just seen it recently in DayZ Down Under. A lot of people complaining about the way the server is and, pointing out to a server like Day One. And it's like, well, this is DayZ Down Under. Don't come in here telling us to change it. You're here because you like what we do. We're not going to, mess up what we've got. If you think that you could do it better, do it yourself, and then realize just how fucking hard it is.
Yeah, well, there's that. I think the hardest part of running a server is once you get that community, is dealing with that community, right?
Oh, for sure.
That is literally, that is your major time consumer, right? Like we've got, I think 8 to 10, I can't even remember the eight admins that run Doug. Mm-hmm. Like that's a large team, and that's just one server.
You just reminded me of something that we do need to discuss. Have either of you ever had a rogue badmin?
We did once. It was quickly discovered. We have logging for that. Like, we have policies around that. And so, for instance, like COT usage, if you turn on your admin powers and use them for something, you have to self-report and match a ticket number to it, or have some type of reasoning behind it that you provide. Like you excerpt from a chat for a user just contacted you or something that says, "Hey, I needed this," or I was helping for this, and if you don't, then you're gone. Like that's it. Like, I think it happened once. It wasn't when Ammo and I were actively on the team. But it came out that there was somebody using the tool, not I don't think it was COT, but he was just using like log information to, I don't know what he was doing anyway. I can't remember, but I just remember that the rest of the team quickly found out and it was just dealt with. That's it. It was just quick. And it's like, hey, you can't do that. And you did, and goodbye.
And that's what we pride on Doug is if you are an admin, you don't use the admin tools in game unless necessary, and you report them. And the tools I wrote report admin usage as well. So, yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on admins playing on their own server?
Mine's easy because we have multiple servers, so you only get access on one server, and the rest are the ones you admin on.
Yep.
Or like you can only play one server with no tools, and the rest you get admin on.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we only have one server, so we have admin on the server, but we play on it. But nobody turns it on, or we have admin on an alt account.
Yes, I was about to say that. If none of you did, that's always I've found a good way to have it. That you have an alt account, and that's the one that has the admin powers, and then you have your player one. But it does always create a bit of a, it's. I get why admins should be able to play, but at the same time, best practice would be if they didn't. But then it's kind of like, well, you started a server, or you became an admin on a server because you love that server. It's kind of shitty to, if you want to become an admin and basically give the most, it kind of sucks that you have to not play that server anymore. But yeah, Archie, chill. You said it before, relax. But yeah,
and actually, like, one of the features, like, of COT, for instance, like the fact that you have to turn on COT, because it wasn't always that way. If you had COT access, when you played the server, if you accidentally press the H key, you teleported. And, that happened a couple of times. And it was, I mean, we probably weren't the only ones, but I remember I was one of the ones. I just went into the modders Discord and went into the COT column and was like, hey guys, like, it would be really nice if COT wasn't on and you had to press a keybind to turn on the ability to start using your powers. And they implemented that for us. Like, that made it just made it easier to be an admin and play, because when it was always on, like, I did it myself one time. We were in the middle of it was an event. It was like a King of the Hill event. And here I was crouched down in a corner, but I was on my back and I was kind of looking around, and I accidentally, my finger went over and I hit the H key and I teleported into the next room, into the ceiling. And I was quickly eliminated because I teleported, but secondly, because everyone saw me and they just shot me. So, it was those types of events. It was like, man, we really need a key to turn off COT. And then they had that. And then I actually pushed it further and said it should be off by default, because when I want to play, and I don't want to have to remember to turn off the tools. I should be forced to turn them on. But yeah, the admin account is the perfect solution.
Darkwing's brought up the main elephant in the room, though, that one of the things that's always going to be an issue, and there's really no way to manage it. You just got to rely on integrity. But admins do have more knowledge, meta, info, bases, that sort of stuff. And it's hard to just, when you play, ignore that information that from using admin tools.
Yeah. When the ESP portion of COT came out at first on Doug, we didn't give it to all the admins because a lot of the admins were active players. So those admins who were less active took the ESP and did those types of tickets, like looking for illegal stashes or looking through bases and, making rulings or whatever, because it really does, effectively, quote unquote, ruin your gameplay, because you can't be a normal player after that. After you scan the server looking for illegal stashes, you literally know where every hidden barrel is, where every stash is, because you looked at them all to see if they were breaking the rules. You can't really play the server anymore, or you can, but you can't go stash hunting and you can't go barrel hunting. Mm-hmm. It was somewhere you do it, you go out with your group, but the group leads and you're just there basically, doing crowd control, right? And you're just playing the game. You're not directing traffic. You're not making suggestions on where to go next, because you know where to go next. Or either that or you just learn to ignore it. Sometimes you just spend so many hours on the server looking for that stuff that it's just impossible to remember them all. And you just get to the point where you don't care about that stuff. Like your gameplay changes drastically too.
One of the best things I think is one of the best things I think is that a good rule is that admins basically can't be involved in raids. Yes, they can still pass on the information, but if you're a base run server, admins really should avoid being involved in raiding other bases, because it just it becomes Sadly, what happened with Milo, and I love Milo. I think he was just a silly boy who did a silly thing, is desperate to keep on creating good content. But that was almost, the picture perfect worst case of what can happen when you have access to admin tools. It's enticing, and a lot of people don't know how to handle it, do they, Designful?
Oh, I mean, my server is pretty easy. I don't know. I have multiple servers, so none of these issues are a thing for me. They were when I first started, and you guys are giving me PTSD thinking about it. But yeah, the multiple servers thing, we have like hardly any admin issues. I have a really good senior staff team that can just read people and kick them before they even really get any perms.
Yep. There was another question there as well. What is sorry?
Can I? Jacob Mango from
Yes.
the COT tools said, "I did what now?" Well, you made sure we could toggle off the tools. That's what you did.
Yeah, it's a great feature.
And making sure the tools are turned off by default is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can accidentally teleport into anything.
Mate,
That's
when I
what
had
you did.
access to admin tools on my server, the amount of times I killed myself because I forgot that something was on, or I forgot that I hadn't turned on God mode, I was just, I'm hopeless. Absolutely hopeless. And the worst one was that bloody hate key that would teleport you. And I always seemed to end up teleporting myself into the sky or the top of a tree and then falling and, dead. And it was just more trouble than it was worth for an idiot like me. But, so we had a good question here. What's a good server, a preferred site to use for the beginning? Nitrado, Ping Perfect, etc. What's your guys' experience been?
They're all the same. I don't know. That's my opinion. GTX, Nitrado, Ping Perfect. They're all like the same, and they're probably the best. Just like $5 a month, you learn how to get your basic mods going. In the meantime, you can learn how to mod yourself, which is even better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you guys, Doug? Who do you use?
We've always rented a server box. We controlled the entire box. So.
Yep.
No, before we ran.
Before you had the option, yeah. I mean, we were with a game hoster. I mean, you didn't have any choice, but I mean, there was no mod back then. You didn't have access to, you didn't even have access to the CLE. You literally just, all you did was you could control when the server started and stopped, whether you had whitelist or not, and that was it.
That's the thing that's lacking nowadays. I mean, we used, and that's a unique thing about Doug as well. We have a dynamic whitelist, which most servers don't. So certain days during the night or during the evening or whatever we're whitelisted. It used to be Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, or whatever. Currently, it's none, I think. But we have a dynamic whitelist, and that used to be a feature of our previous hoster. And that's something that most server boxes don't offer, so we wrote it ourselves. Diesel wrote it. And that's a cool thing. I mean, we wanted to give the Doug experience to people that weren't whitelisted yet. So we whitelisted 3 out of the 4 days. So if you want to play, you could play 4 days, and then the 3 main days, the big population days, you'd be locked out and you'd have to apply for whitelist.
Easy Rich, can you expand on that, mate? But pretty much my understanding is the same rules apply for console as it does for PC, in that you just I know that this is something from when I was doing the podcast, that a lot of console communities weren't familiar with the fact that they still needed to register for monetization if they were doing priority access, because that's basically a perk of donating, so you need to apply for monetization. I'm not sure how many servers have listed themselves, but they should be. And if they're not, you probably need to have a chat to them and just say, guys, you should probably go and register. Provided you're doing everything above board, BI won't knock it back. But yeah, you just need to make sure that you dot the I's and cross the T's. Otherwise, they can shut your server down. Any other questions, chat, or anything that you guys think we should cover? No, looks like we are pretty much done then. Diesel Ammo, thank you so much, guys. It warms my heart that DayZ UnderGround is still around. I've seen a lot of other communities come and go. You know, the Village. I know the Village is sort of still around, but Pipsy here in Australia has closed down, sadly. And, you know, that was pretty much the original Australian community server that took off. And but I cannot thank you guys enough for volunteering your time to help out today.
Problem
here.
If anyone has any more questions, leave them in chat. I'll, you know, if they're specific to any of the guests in that, I'll send them on to them. Leave a comment on the video when I upload it as well. Designful, thank you so much. Like I said, I'll have a chat with you, mate, because I would like to talk more about your monetization model if you're comfortable. You can tell me to fuck off if you want. But just because it is something that, you know, a lot of people dream of, would be, you know, the same as some streamers dream of being able to do it full time. But there's a lot more, and it sounds like you're actually, you know, if you're running it, you've got a few people who are sort of employees, and you know, they're probably invoicing you or whatever. Just to talk about the nuances involved. We don't need to talk about monetary figures, just more about the nuances involved, insurance, and there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't consider when it comes to actually running a business. And yeah, you know, you can do it as a individual, or you could do it as an LLC. So I'm hoping that you're up for a bit more of a chat about how you do that, if you're down with that.
Yeah, probably. I'd like to bring my admins and stuff come talk.
That would be
give
great.
Their side.
That would be great. You know, get a few more people who you know, able to talk about that, because I think that's fascinating. And you know, BI have got some fairly strict rules on what you can and can't do, and it sounds like you've managed to find that. You know, it's a bit like a minefield. If you step off either way, you might get in trouble. But it sounds like you've managed to find a way to safely negotiate it, and I think that's bloody awesome. Yeah, I'm all for. I'm a big believer in that money is a great motivator. Passion is good. And you know, probably more desirable, but when you can combine passion and making a bit of money from it, you know, everyone always says, you know, it's your dream to be able to earn a living from something you love doing, and it sounds like you're kind of doing that.
Yep, definitely.
Guys, thank you so much once again. Chat, thank you. Very active. A little bit crazy a few times there, but it happens. You know, it's the internet. The internet's a crazy place these days. But thank you all so much. Hang around. In about an hour's time, the DayZ podcast will be going live. They've got guests from the Travelers community. Coming on, Tia and Pig and so on. So that's going to be a very interesting show. Also, don't forget, we've got the Christmas episode coming up, folks. We've got some absolutely fucking... Have you guys seen the prizes that we're giving away this year?
Nope.
Wait till you see this shit. This is some of our best prizes yet. Let me just scroll back up. Chance to shill our community. We are pretty much just a community that does it out of love as well. You know, I don't make money from this, but a Christmas show, there's your times in the local area. It's going to be a 6 a.m. start for me, so hopefully I'll be awake. But we have this figurine, custom handmade by Pettiwetty, the infamous Yellow King.
Cool.
That is so freaking cool, isn't it? And he even made a custom box for it to go in as well. Then we've got Windstride is donating another item that will be added to his custom Windstride's clothing mod. this is the last item he made for the winner last year, John Likely. So if you've been wondering where this item came from, that was what the winner of last year's prize got to make. Pretty fucking quality little item.
Emma, did you help with the scripts for that?
Nope.
No.
Not that one.
Not that one, darn. That would have
No,
been cool.
I helped with all the switches between the different schematics, etc.
Yeah.
Now we've got these 3 custom, handmade, or 3D printed DayZ MediPens. So we've got the EpiPen, the morphine, and the pox virus cure as well. And they are all going to be packaged in this. A protective case from DayZ, which has been ordered and on its way to Prestige now. He's going to take it to his local rubber store or whatever, and they're going to custom cut the grooves into the foam so that they fit the pens. We've also got Bubson's Nemol's record. We've ordered a copy of that. So when they're released, we'll get that sent to the winner of that. We've got this custom handmade Nemol's plaque that you can put into your gaming room, your man cave, wherever you want to put it. Dude Thor is donating about 30 Humble Bundle games. We've got Mr. Frankie, who's in chat. He's going to be donating 3 copies of DayZ, 1 for each platform. We do need to work on that to see about getting the codes. PC's fairly easy to do, but it's hard to buy a code and gift it for console. So, yeah. Funk Pedal is donating a DayZ Survival hoodie. I don't know if you guys have got one, but I'm not really a hoodie person, mainly because of the climate I live in. But these are really fucking comfortable. And just, yeah. Foxy Pote is donating something. Cinnamon is donating Steady Your Nerve hoodie and mousepad. Cabello Live is donating a custom billboard on his map. So these are ones that we were talking before about sponsorship with servers and that. And one of the struggles is, how do you make it fit in? If you were to spawn in and just see, some of you guys probably remember the banner of signage when it was first up didn't really fit, kind of ruined the immersion. So I actually reached out to him and we funded out of what we make from our community a redesign of all of those signages so they fit better with the theme of the apocalypse. The Running Man one, we had it converted to a pair of running shoes. Time to start raining. The Running Man logo. Toprek had one, so anyone who knows of Toprek knows his hobby of his is actually collecting wild mushrooms. So we had one made like that. Amish said, strong enough to wake up the dead. This is Nemolsk for Sumrak Ski Resort. So just ones that tied in a bit more. So you'll be able to get something like that added to that server. And this one's pretty cool as well. Wellerton, who everyone's familiar with Wellerton's amazing artwork he's been doing. He's now started doing retextures. And he's actually quite fucking skilled. For those who know how to do retextures, they're probably going, oh, that's not that impressive. But for someone like me, this stuff, I wouldn't play on a server probably that had that sort of gear. It just looks a bit too wacky for my taste, but there's no denying that they don't look damn good, do they? Probably going to get rid of the Balenciaga ones. But yeah. And we also just had a, I think it's a 2 terabyte hard drive donated as well. No, you could get a custom one made, Darkwing. You could submit a design idea and he'll see about getting it made for you. So, yeah, and that's all going to be given away, plus some other stuff, some 87.8 themed merch. That's all going to get given away on our annual Christmas show, which is 2000 UTC on Saturday the 17th of December, or Sunday morning here in Australia and New Zealand and so on. Yeah, but yeah, guys, once again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time, and congratulations on having some of the most successful servers out there.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for doing this. I mean, your passion for DayZ too, right? Like you said, you're just out there doing this and bringing people like us together. Designful, like really hats off to you. Like I haven't played your servers, but I've seen them on stream. A streamer that I watch plays on your servers. I can't get over the amount of modding that you've done to DayZ. It kind of blows my mind. It's just like, wow, like that is some serious commitment, and it seems to work really, really well. So hats off to you too. Like, your commitment to the game and is just amazing. So
yeah, man, I played your servers like 8 years ago. You guys like opened my mind to Private Hive back in the day.
Oh, there you go.
DayZ
Back when
UnderGround
everybody
is
would
kind
just
of like the Frankie on
servers.
PC of servers. DayZ UnderGround was an inspiration to so many communities. It was the first one, and everyone was like, oh, fuck yeah, I want to do a community server. Everyone played it back in the day, didn't they?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we've got records of that too. I don't know how many unique players we've ever had, but we could probably tell you at some point. But
that'd be cool to
I don't
know.
know.
170,000.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Anyway, I mean, yeah, it's just fantastic. The fact that DayZ just keeps getting, more popular, breaking, number of concurrent player records even in the past year. It's
It's actually crazy.
Yeah, it's fascinating that the game is, truthfully that old, but yet still
so popular. Yeah,
still so popular. It's amazing.
It is the true zombie survival game. It just won't die.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared of what will happen when Arma 4 comes out, because once DayZ gets made there,
yeah, but
who
depends
knows?
on how they.
that we're sort of getting off a bit traffic here. Sorry, off topic, but will Arma have all the same functions as DayZ? If it doesn't have a requirement to eat and drink and get sick and all the rest of it, that doesn't really replace DayZ. Then it just offers, probably more for the more PvP oriented servers. They'll be able to, but unless someone can mod that stuff in. And that sort of core mechanic, that's not easy to mod in if there's not a capacity already there for it, is my basic understanding. So, yeah,
I'm going to go full loop. There's going to be a new Dean Hall that makes DayZ in the new Arma game.
But yeah,
and the loop recycles.
Thank you so much once again, guys. And thank you, chat, for hanging around and asking some questions, and I really appreciate it. This is my hobby, my passion, and I love being able to share, get people on, because I'm not a smart guy, but I just know a lot of people and I know how to talk. But I know a lot of smart people, and I can get them on and they can share what they do, and hopefully inspire some of you to try to be like them. Just really think about whether you want to start a server, folks. It's not easy, and there's a lot of them out there. It's hard to stand out. It's very hard to stand out.
And thanks to Soundful for being there with 3 old men until the end. Because I doubt
I'm not that young.
Our age.
25.
Oh, yeah.
25, holy shit. Yeah.
Holy shit.
A little young. I feel like an old man, though.
I'm 45.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we're old enough to be your dad, mate, so respect your fucking elders, you young fella.
Yes, sir.
Oh, look who's there hiding, lurking in chat there, Designful and Ammo, Zyson. I just hope he didn't hear us.
I
just hope he didn't hear us shit talking him earlier. But yeah. No worries, guys.
I didn't.
No, we did. We love you, Zyson. But no, thank you so much, guys. And thank you for your time. It's been a good couple of hour chat. And all the best for the future.
Thanks, now. Bye.
Catch you later.
Bye.